Some things on the internet don't disappear. They wait, hiding in the shadows, ready for the right person to find them. They're not forgotten, just waiting. Tonight on LurmoStories, we'll dive into stories that never ended, ones that lurk beneath the surface, waiting to resurface. And once they do, they'll change everything you thought you knew about the web. You'll think twice before clicking again.
The first day at the regional distribution warehouse in Ohio started like any corporate orientation. They scanned my badge at the gate, handed me a reflective vest, a safety pamphlet, and told me to head upstairs to the training room. The hallway walls were lined with faded posters, some so old the slogans looked rubbed off. The air smelled like cardboard and cold metal. Inside the training room, about 10 of us sat in silence. Everyone looked exhausted in that specific warehouse employee way. Eyes dull, movement slow, like they'd been up for 2 shifts already. An old projector hummed in the corner. Above us, something vibrated the ceiling panels every few seconds, like heavy machinery running directly overhead, even though the building was single-story. The instructor finally walked in. Tall, thinning hair, gray hoodie with an outdated company logo. He didn't introduce himself, just stood there like he hated being in the room with us and said, "All right, before we begin, some rules. If you see anything in zone A17, anything at all, don't approach it. Don't talk to it, don't report it. Just walk past, head down." People chuckled quietly, assuming it was some weird icebreaker, but he didn't crack a smile. And if you hear someone calling your name in A17, you ignore it. You keep walking. He clicked on the projector. I expected a corporate training video. Instead, it showed still photos of empty warehouse aisles, overhead shadows stretching wrong, angles slightly off, like the camera was yanked mid-shot. Nobody asked why these were the slides. These, he said, are your walking routes. After the basic safety video, he led us out to tour the facility. The warehouse floor was massive, aisles rising 40 feet, forklifts weaving between rows, the air biting cold despite thermostats showing normal temps. The lighting flickered more often than any OSHA-compliant building should. We followed the instructor down a narrower corridor, where the noise of the forklifts faded sharply. The overhead lights buzzed dimmer. "This is A16, he said. A17 is the next left. We don't enter it." As if on cue, the lights past the corner blinked. One of the new hires, a kid in a red baseball cap, leaned forward and said, something moved down there." The instructor grabbed his shoulder so fast the kid yelped. "Don't look. Keep away from that aisle." Before the kid could answer, a faint sound drifted from the dark around the corner. "Hey!" It was so soft it sounded like it came through a wall. I turned to see who said it, but everyone else stood frozen, eyes wide. Then it came again, quieter, shaped like a breath trying to form a name. "Mark, come here." "My name is Mark." The instructor's voice dropped to a whisper. "Eyes down, all of you."
Now. We obeyed, though every hair on my arms stood up like something was watching from just beyond the shelves. He sped up his pace, practically pushing us back toward the main hall. When we reached the brighter section of the warehouse, he spoke through clenched teeth. "If it calls your name once, that's the warning. If it calls twice, it's already close." A chill crawled under my ribs. I tried to shake it off, but from far behind us, I thought I heard an echo, stretching, searching. Then the overhead PA crackled violently. "Mark, report to A17. Mark, please report to A17 immediately." The instructor swore under his breath. "That's not our dispatcher." The instructor herded us away from the PA speaker like it was a live electrical wire. He didn't yell. He didn't have to. His face told us everything. Whatever we'd just heard wasn't part of the tour. We stopped near a line of conveyors where the noise was loud enough to mask anything distant. He motioned for us to huddle in, like he was afraid the walls could overhear. "Listen carefully," he said. "You don't respond to calls from A17. You don't check who said your name. And you don't step inside that aisle unless a supervisor escorts you." The guy in the red cap, Evan, I think, raised his hand halfway. "So what's in there? A forklift hazard? Homeless guy living in the racks?" The instructor's jaw tightened. I said no questions, but Evan pushed anyway. "Man, that voice said his name." How would some random person know?
Because someone in this building doesn't follow the rules, the instructor cut in. And that's all you need to know. The way he said someone sent a pulse of dread through me, like it wasn't about a person at all. But I reminded myself the rules said no fantasy, so whatever was happening had to have a real explanation, just not one he was willing to give. We continued the walk. Every few steps I felt like something behind us was matching our pace. Whenever I glanced back, it was just aisles and pallets. Eventually, we reached the break room. The instructor told us to wait inside while he checked something. His voice sounded strained, like he was rehearsing what to say to someone. He stepped out and closed the door. A minute passed, then another. Someone muttered, "This place is messed up." Someone else laughed nervously, saying it was all some corporate scare tactic. But then the overhead light flickered hard, enough that everyone jumped. The buzzing from the electrical panel shifted into a low, uneven hum. It wasn't loud, it was the kind of noise that gets inside your teeth. Evan walked over to the window in the door and squinted. "He's just standing there," he whispered, "not moving." We gathered behind him. The instructor stood down the hall, facing the direction of A17. Shoulders stiff, hands clenched, like he was listening to someone we couldn't hear. Then he slowly lifted his hand, like he was about to wave someone over.
But the hallway was empty. The hum grew sharper. Suddenly, the PA crackled again, more distorted this time.
"Mark, you forgot orientation papers. Please report to A17.
Everyone stared at me. I tried to look calm, but my chest felt tight. None of us moved. The PA clicked off. A few seconds later, it clicked on again. Same dead air, same static. But this time, it spoke with a different rhythm.
"Mark, you're standing in the wrong place. Come back. You passed me."
It sounded almost annoyed. Someone whispered, "What the hell does that mean?" Before I could answer, the instructor finally turned around. His face was pale, stretched tight. "Do not open this door," he said through the glass. His voice trembled for the first time. "No matter what you hear, stay inside until I get back." "Where are you going?" I asked. He didn't blink. A17. And then he walked away. We watched him disappear around the corner, where the light seemed dimmer than before. The hallway grew silent. Then, from the far end, where he had just gone, came a sharp, heavy bang. Like something metal hit the concrete. Then another, louder, closer. Evan backed away from the door. Someone else whispered, "We need to call someone." But before any of us moved, the doorknob gave a slow, deliberate twitch. Not a rattle, not someone trying to force it, a controlled, testing twist. Like something was checking whether it locked from our side. And then, a soft voice came right through the doorframe, level with my ear, even though I was 6 feet away. "Mark, I'm done waiting." The voice at the door wasn't loud. That made it worse. It sounded like someone speaking through cupped hands, right against the wood. Everyone in the break room pressed back against the far wall. Nobody wanted to be near the handle. Evan whispered, "That's not the instructor's voice." But he said it too late. Everyone already knew. The doorknob twitched again, not frantic, searching, testing pressure, feeling how the mechanism moved. I stepped back farther without meaning to. Someone fumbled for their phone, but there was no service, just an error screen. Another tried the wall phone, but it only produced a thin hiss, like the dial tone was buried under static. Outside the door, footsteps moved away, slow, even. Whoever it was wasn't trying to hide. The sound drifted down the hall toward A17, then stopped suddenly, cut off like a switch. No one talked for a full minute. Finally, one of the older guys said, "We wait." Instructor said wait. But people were already cracking. A woman near the vending machines started crying quietly. Evan paced the room, rubbing his jaw like he was trying to keep his teeth from chattering. I moved to the window in the door. Against every instinct I had, I leaned forward just enough to see down the hall. Empty, but the lights were dimmer than before. One flickered so hard it strobed. Shadows jerked across the walls, like something was moving just out of frame. Evan whispered behind me, "See anything?" "No," I said, "but something's..." A sudden, violent crash echoed from deep in the warehouse. One of those metal ringing sounds that travels a long way. Something heavy had been knocked over.
Then another crash followed from a different direction, closer. The break room lights went out. Someone screamed, but the sound died quickly in the darkness. The only illumination came from the exit sign above the door, glowing red and sickly. Then the PA clicked on for just a second. No words, only breathing. Close, uneven breathing. It shut off abruptly. I don't know who moved first, but suddenly everyone was scrambling to the emergency exit on the far wall. The panic bar pushed, but the door didn't budge. "Alarm must be disabled," someone muttered in the dark. "No," said Evan. "It's stuck. Something's blocking it." The break room felt smaller with every breath. From the hallway came the faintest scraping sound, like cardboard sliding across concrete. Slow, dragging, deliberate, moving toward our door. Someone whispered, "Please tell me that's the instructor." No one answered. The scraping stopped right in front of us. A soft thud followed, like someone leaning their full weight against the door. Then a voice, this time quieter, almost conversational. "Mark, I'm here now." It was the same cadence as earlier, but the pitch, wrong. Like someone rehearsing a voice they hadn't heard in years. Evan lost it. He shoved the table toward the door, wedging it underneath the handle. Everyone helped, piling chairs and anything heavy they could grab. The voice outside tried the handle once more. Then it said, almost amused, "You locked the wrong side." A loud metallic slam hit the door, hard enough to slide the table an inch. Another slam followed, heavier, shaking dust from the ceiling. Each hit felt like it would bend the hinges. People screamed. Someone prayed. Another tried kicking the emergency door again, shouting that it had to open. On the third slam, a crack snaked across the wood near the lock. And then, silence. Not even breathing on the other side. No footsteps walking away, no scraping. Just absence. We waited. 10 seconds. 20. A full minute. Finally, the lights flickered back on. The PA beeped gently, returning to its normal beep, silence, beep pattern. The hum in the vents normalized. When we dared move the table and open the break room door, the hallway was empty. But the concrete floor showed long, smeared marks leading away from the door. Gray dust disturbed in long arcs, as if something had turned and crawled back down the corridor toward A17. The instructor was never found. Corporate told us he left mid-shift. Walked off the job, they said. I left the warehouse that same night and never returned. But sometimes, when I'm in a quiet store aisle or a parking garage stairwell, I hear something that makes my chest seize up. A soft voice behind me, low and close. "Mark, you passed me again." And it's always right where the lights are dimmest.
I'm writing this as part of the internal incident log, even though I'm not sure which department this technically falls under. Facilities thinks it's collections. Collections thinks it's exhibitions. Everyone else pretends they don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm filing this as an assistant curator memo, because at least that lands somewhere. 3 weeks ago, a crate appeared in receiving. No paperwork, no courier signature. The loading dock camera didn't capture a delivery truck, just a moment where the feed glitched into static, and when the image came back, the crate was there. Standard size, stamped with a routing code that doesn't match any museum or university system in the US. I checked twice. When I asked Mark in receiving who logged it, he looked at me like I'd asked about a prank he wasn't in on. It was already there when I opened, he said. Probably late night transfer. Except we don't have late night transfers, and the motion sensors didn't record the door opening. The crate itself was old, not historic, just neglected. Wood swollen from moisture, labels half rotted. The only legible marking was a faded, stenciled word. Archive. No date, no sender, just that. I should have left it for collections, but the director told me to handle it quietly until we knew what it was. She hates when oddities attract attention. So I authorized opening it. Inside was a display case. Not an object to display, an entire assembled exhibit case, the kind used in museums in the 1960s. Thick glass, metal frame, its lighting rig still attached. It looked like it had been pulled from an old gallery and dropped into the crate without disassembly. Dust coated the inside of the glass, but there was no artifact inside, no catalog card, no indication what it had once shown. The strange part wasn't the case itself. It was the fact that the glass on the inside was smudged. Long, uneven streaks, like fingerprints dragged with too much pressure.
Except they were on all 4 interior walls, including the upper panel, the kind of smudges you'd expect if someone kept touching the glass from the inside, trying different spots. Security swears the case wasn't tampered with. The crate seals were intact. The screws holding the glass panels were still factory tight, threads undisturbed. One more detail. When I leaned close to the glass, I noticed a faint imprint near the bottom corner. Not a handprint, more like the pressure of a cheek or forehead, like someone had been resting against it. Facilities wanted it stored. The director wanted it hidden. I had it moved to the basement prep room until we could figure out provenance. Since then, staff have been avoiding that room. They won't say why. Yesterday, I had to go down alone. When I unlocked the door, the lights flickered once, then steadied. The smudges on the inside of the case were different. They'd shifted.
Not cleaned, just moved, as if someone had been pressing on the glass again. But the case was sealed, and nobody had the key but me. I didn't report the changed smudges. The director's been on edge with the audit coming up, and anything that hints at unsecured objects sets her off. I told myself maybe I remembered their positions wrong. Maybe I exaggerated the pattern in my head. But today, maintenance logged a temperature anomaly in the basement prep room, 10 degrees cooler than the hallway. No leaks, no HVAC issues. They left without inspecting further. When I asked why, the guy just muttered, "Didn't like the air down there." He wouldn't look at me. At noon, I went back with a notepad to start a proper condition report. The case sat in the middle of the room, the overhead lamp making its dust glow like fine powder. I tried to ignore how quiet it felt. The museum's basement always hums. The HVAC, old pipes, vibration from upstairs school groups. But the prep room, nothing. Just the faint buzz of the lamp. I closed the door behind me. The click echoed too sharply. When I approached the case, I noticed new smudges near the top panel, but this time they weren't streaks. More like small, repeated taps. Circular. Too small to be knuckles, too widely spaced to be fingertips. They didn't form a pattern, they just clustered in one corner like someone had been trying different points, again and again. I bent down to inspect the lower panels, and stopped. The dust inside the case wasn't uniform anymore. Someone had disturbed it. A thin, curved track crossed the interior base, like something had shifted its weight slightly and dragged part of the dust with it. No airflow could have made that mark. The case was fully sealed. I tried the screws holding the front panel, still factory tight. The feeling that someone had been in the room before me crept in. Not in the normal sense, but as if the air still held the shape of movement. I caught myself glancing at the corners, checking the door, listening for breathing that wasn't mine. I stepped back to take a photo for documentation. My reflection in the glass looked distorted by the smudges, the overhead light catching on every streak. I lifted my phone and froze when I saw it through the camera screen. A new imprint on the inside of the panel. Broad, vertical, like the flat of a hand pressed from within. Fresh enough that the dust still haloed around it. I lowered the phone and stared directly. The imprint wasn't there. I raised the phone again. There it was, pale and unmistakable. As I watched the screen, something else shifted. A faint movement inside the case, subtle enough I questioned whether it was lens noise. A tiny flicker low to the base panel where the dust track curved. The overhead lamp buzzed louder, then dimmed. I backed up to the door, keeping the case in sight. When I reached for the handle, it resisted, not locked. Just tensioned, like someone on the other side was holding it lightly. I didn't pull harder. I waited. After a second, the pressure faded. The handle turned easily. I stepped out into the hallway. The hum of the basement returned instantly. Behind me, the prep room light went out, and when I checked the breaker, nothing had tripped. I didn't want to go back down there after the light failure, but avoiding it only made things worse. Staff kept reporting small things, hearing quiet taps through the floor during closing rounds, a guard swearing he saw movement in the prep room window when no one was scheduled downstairs. The director asked me if I'd cataloged the unassigned display. Her tone clipped in that way she uses when she wants something handled without questions. So tonight, after hours, I forced myself to finish the documentation. I told the security desk I'd be in the basement with the door locked. They didn't ask why. They never do when it comes to this room. The hallway lights flickered as I walked down, as if reacting to each step. When I unlocked the prep room, the air had that same heavy stillness, like someone had been holding a breath for hours. The case stood exactly where I'd left it,
but the smudges on the inside had concentrated into one area now, clustered at eye level. Not frantic, deliberate, as if whoever made them wanted to be seen. I set up my clipboard, forced my breathing to stay steady, and started describing the interior dust pattern. As I wrote, a faint sound reached me, not from the hallway, from inside the case. A slow, shifting scrape, like a fingertip dragged lightly across glass. I stepped closer. The dust on the interior base had changed again. This time, the trail wasn't a curve. It formed a short, straight line, pointing directly toward the front panel, toward me. I leaned in to examine it, and the overhead lamp trembled, then steadied. My reflection in the glass sharpened, and that's when I noticed something off. The dust smudges on the interior were no longer behind my mirrored image. They overlapped it. For a moment, it looked like the marks were on my side of the glass, aligned perfectly with my face. I blinked. They were back inside the case. I'd had enough. I turned to pack my things, but something in the corner of my eye caught my attention. A thin, pale line on the floor tiles where there hadn't been one before. Dust, faintly disturbed, forming a trail from the base of the case to the edge of the table I'd been using. A straight, narrow track, as if something had been moving across the floor with a single point of contact. I crouched, following the trail. It stopped right beneath the table, disappearing into the shadow underneath. The lamp above me flickered again, harder this time. The room felt too quiet, too expectant. I stood and backed toward the door, keeping the case in view. And as I reached for the handle, I saw movement. Not in the reflection, not a trick of light, but a definite shift inside the case. The dust on the base lifted just slightly, as if something small had risen from it and settled again. The smudges on the inside glass rearranged themselves into a new shape, lines crossing, angles tightening. Not letters, not symbols, just the impression of something pushing outward carefully, testing the limits of the panel. I unlocked the door. The metal was warm against my hand. Before I stepped out, I looked back one last time. The new smudges formed a shape roughly where a face would be, pressed close, too close, as if watching the room, watching me leave. I shut the door firmly. We're sealing the basement tomorrow. I've already requested it be omitted from public tours. Whatever was in that case is still inside, but it's learning where the edges are. I pulled into the Copper Range RV park a little after 6 p.m., just as the last orange light slipped behind the pines. The place was technically open year-round, but the office cabin had a handwritten sign on the door. Manager on rounds. Pick any spot. Pay in the morning. That should have been my first hint that no one expected visitors in late November. The park was bigger than I thought, maybe 50 pads arranged in a grid, each separated by tall cedar posts and old wooden picnic tables. But every space was empty. No trucks, no trailers, no dogs barking from inside someone's Class C. Even the playground had its swings tied up, like they were preventing them from catching the wind. I parked near the back row, close to the tree line. The gravel popped under my tires. When I stepped out, the air felt colder than it should have been. Not bad weather, just colder than the rest of the drive. I'd barely hooked up shore power when I noticed the first thing that bothered me. A faint smell, something metallic, maybe an old well pump running somewhere nearby. I dismissed it. Around 7:30, I walked toward the bathhouse to wash up. My flashlight beam bounced across the gravel and the empty pads. Every few seconds, the trees shifted, letting out soft tapping sounds. Not breaking branches, more like something touching the trunks. The bathhouse was unlocked. Lights flickered inside, humming faintly. The stalls were clean but damp, like maintenance had been done not long ago. As I was drying my hands, I heard footsteps outside. Slow ones. Gravel crunching, stopping, then crunching again. I opened the door expecting the manager. No one. Just the cold night and the row of empty pads stretching toward the office. Heading back to my RV, I kept hearing the same crunching behind me. Every time I turned, the sound stopped. The smell, too, that metallic tang, was stronger, drifting in from the darkened end of the lot. When I reached my RV, something caught my eye across the lane. Slot number 47, 2 spaces down from mine. I could have sworn it had been empty earlier, but now there was a trailer silhouette there. No lights, no engine heat, no sign of anyone moving inside. Just a dull shape in the dark, like it had been placed there. A second detail made my stomach tighten. The trailer door was hanging open about an inch, and the gravel right in front of it looked disturbed, dragged, not stepped on. I shut myself in for the night, telling myself the manager probably came back and parked there. But around 11 p.m., while I was sorting gear, someone knocked on my RV door. 3 slow taps. No voice, no shadow in the window. When I looked back across the lane, the door of the trailer in slot number 47 was now wide open, and something was leaning just inside it, like a person standing perfectly still. I kept the blinds half closed, watching slot number 47 from the narrow gap. The thing leaning inside the trailer didn't move. No shifting weight, no adjusting posture. Just a human-shaped outline in the dark doorway, head tilted slightly toward my RV. It was like it was listening. I turned off every interior light and sat on the floor, waiting for my eyes to adjust. The metallic smell drifted again, faint but sharp, like blood on cold steel. It wasn't coming from the woods anymore. It was coming from the direction of that trailer. Around midnight, I decided to call the manager's number posted on the office door. I stepped outside, phone to my ear, trying to stay quiet on the gravel. The signal barely held a single bar. The call rang, then clicked. Someone picked up, but didn't say anything. "Hello? This is a traveler staying at the park," I said. "There's someone in slot 47. Just checking that's you." Nothing. Just a faint breathing sound, too close to the mic. Slow, dragging breaths. Then a whisper so soft I thought it came from behind me, not the phone. "Don't stay there." The call dropped. I spun around. The night felt immediately wrong, too open, too exposed. I backed toward my RV, eyes locked on slot number 47. The figure inside the trailer had shifted. It was standing fully upright now, blocking the doorway. And I realized something else. Its arms were much too long. I climbed into my RV and locked everything. I moved to the window again, but kept low, just enough to see. The figure stepped out of the trailer, slow, deliberate, like it didn't care if I watched. Under the weak security light, I finally saw it clearly enough to know it wasn't the manager. The proportions were off. Shoulders high, head low, joints bent almost backwards. Its clothes hung wrong, like something had put them on without understanding how they were supposed to fit. It walked past the picnic table and stopped in the dead center of the gravel lane, facing my RV. No movement after that, not even breathing from what I could tell. Then my RV power flickered. The overhead lights blinked once, then steadied. I checked the breakers. Nothing wrong. I checked the external cable, still plugged in tight. Outside, the figure craned its head upward, like it had noticed the flicker too. That's when I heard something from the tree line behind the RV. A tapping, just like earlier, except now it was faster, more deliberate. Not wind, not animals. A rhythm. Tap, 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 tap. I stayed perfectly still. The tapping stopped. Gravel shifted somewhere near the back window, too close for comfort. I looked towards slot number 47 again. The figure was gone. Not walking away, not retreating, just gone from where it stood seconds before. Then, a soft, almost conversational knock came from the rear wall of my RV. Not frantic, not threatening, just a gentle, patient knock, like someone asking to be let in. The knock came again, 3 slow taps against the rear panel. Same rhythm as before. I stayed crouched near the front window, hands shaking so badly I could barely keep the blinds steady. Nothing moved outside. No footsteps on the gravel, no shadow passing under the lights. Only the night pressing in around the RV like it was holding its breath. I waited, counting the seconds. When I finally worked up the nerve to check the rear window, I raised the blind just an inch. Nothing. Just the dark outline of the tree line and the narrow strip of gravel. Then something brushed along the metal siding, a long, dragging scrape. Whatever it was slipped along the length of the RV, moving toward the door. I heard the steps this time, gravel crunching under a slow, deliberate weight. I held the deadbolt with one hand, as if my grip alone could reinforce it. The footsteps stopped right outside. For a moment, there was only silence. Then the door handle moved. Not a violent shake, just a slow, testing turn, like someone unfamiliar with how RV doors worked was mimicking the motion. Metal clicked, but the lock held. The handle stayed angled down for several seconds before releasing. Something exhaled on the other side. Not human, too steady, too controlled. I backed away, scanning for any escape if things went bad. The only option was the driver's seat. I slid in quietly, turning the key halfway so I wouldn't draw attention with the chime. The dashboard lit up just enough for me to see the fuel gauge. Half a tank. Enough. I braced myself, turned the key fully, and the engine roared awake. Immediately, something slammed against the side of the RV, hard enough to rock the whole frame. I hit the headlights. For a split second, the beams caught movement. Something tall, slipping out of view, just beyond the right mirror. Clothes hanging loose. Arms too long. I threw the RV into drive and hit the gas. Gravel sprayed. The RV lurched forward, bouncing over the potholes as I tore down the park's exit lane. But as I passed slot number 47, my headlights caught one last detail that nearly made me stop. The trailer wasn't old or abandoned like I assumed. It was new, clean, factory stickers still on the windows, and inside, barely visible through the open door, was the real owner. A man slumped against the interior wall, unmoving. His clothes were stripped off him, draped neatly over the empty dinette seats. Someone, or something, had taken them. I didn't slow down. The office cabin flashed by, the woods thinned. The main road opened in front of me like salvation. I didn't look in the mirrors. I didn't want to know if anything followed. I drove until the sun showed through the windshield, until the metallic smell finally faded. When I stopped at a diner 40 miles east, the waitress told me the Copper Range RV park had seasonal security issues and that the county rarely checked on it in winter. That evening, out of morbid curiosity, I called the number on the office door again. This time, it didn't connect at all.
Just a recorded message. This number is not in service.
I haven't driven through that part of the state since. And if you ever find yourself near Copper Range during the off-season, don't choose your own spot. Don't walk to the bathhouse alone. And if you see a trailer sitting in slot number 47 with the door open, keep driving.
You may have heard the truth tonight, but trust me, the web has so much more to reveal. This was LurmoStories, and what's hidden behind the next click could change everything.